Hey, welcome to the Matters Sports Show. I'm editor Chris Pugh. As always, we got Mike Brown with us. Mike, another busy week of football. Let's kind of get going through everything. How are you?
Real good, thank you, Chris. Hard to believe we're heading to the halfway point of the high school regular season.
Definitely. It just action packed. It keeps us busy, but
Yes,
it's a fun thing to follow, fun thing to keep busy
absolutely,
about.
Chris. Yep.
All right, so let's figure out how we're going to do this week. How about let's go over the schedule, Mike. Let's pick a couple of interesting games coming up this
Oh,
weekend,
yeah,
and as we talk about them, you can talk about the relationship with the polls as well.
yeah.
Um, Pulling
Well,
up
I
my
tell you what, there's two that stand out right away to me. Youngstown Ursuline goes to Warren Harding Friday night. That should be a great matchup.
yeah,
Ursuline in our poll this week again. They've been in there since the beginning. And the other big game, Struthers and South Range. Again, those are two of the seven teams in our MahoningMatters.com Super 7 poll. That's going to be a great matchup, too. I mean, those are two that really, there's a lot of good ones, but those two are far and away the top ones this weekend in the Youngstown area.
yeah. Like you said, Stroke and South Range, two of the best teams in the poll.
Yep.
I'll tell you, it's interesting. Ursula and Harding both have a loss with them, but man, the schedule they face, man, if they play any other
Absolutely.
schedule, both of them could be undefeated right now. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yep.
yeah, some quality teams there. So yeah,
Yep. Yep.
those games, and obviously check out what game you can check out, but those two really
Yep.
kind of shine above all the other really good games. Couple of ones are kind of interesting. You got Hubbard; they're
Yes.
undefeated. They go
Yep.
over to play Poland. Poland was
Right.
undefeated. They
Yep.
got beat up in a rivalry game. How does Poland bounce back? I'm intrigued by that one too.
Right. I think that'll be there's two really good games in the Northeast, and usually that's the way it is every year. That league is so competitive. There's good games in the Northeast 8 every week during the season, and this week in particular, there's some really good games.
Yeah, I'm looking here too. Yeah, each week we talk about Youngstown Cheney to play a good schedule. They're giving some really good teams tough times.
Yep.
They got another good team coming in, Canfield
Yes.
at Cheney. I'm intrigued about that one too.
Yeah, Canfield gets that win over the arch rival. They win the Battle of 224 over Poland last week, and it sounds like they're starting to find their niche with some younger players. And they've got that great tradition at Canfield, and we know Cheney's always good. Cheney
Mhm.
plays that great defense, so that should be an interesting matchup too, Chris.
Yeah, and Canfield beat a previously undefeated Poland last week. So,
Right?
Canfield's 2-2, but again, some of these teams, as we said, they play really tough schedules. So,
Yep.
don't judge them just based on their record.
Right. Yep.
Um, Gerard, they're going over to Pugh Valley.
Yep.
Can Gerard bounce back? I'm
Right.
intrigued by that one.
Yep.
What West Branch goes on the road to play Howland. That'll be interesting.
A thing I
Uh,
noticed about them, and I posted this afternoon. I got a copy of their latest stats today. Do you realize, because they've been such an offensive team, they've been. I think they're averaging 37 points a game this year, but they have I think they have, if it's not the top ranked defense in the Youngstown area, they're giving up 6.7 points a game through 4 games and only 125 yards of total offense. That's really that is a market improvement for them. And I think that's the thing that could really give them some staying power because they've had the offense. It's just when they've gotten deeper in the playoffs, their defense has kind of failed them a little bit. And if
right.
that holds up, and they beat, Canfield and Girard can score points. And those are teams that they've beaten and they're averaging giving up 6.7 points a game. That's really doing a job.
Yeah, it's good to see them with a good defense. I mean,
Yeah.
that really, like you said, I mean, West Branch has always seems to be a good playoff team.
Yeah.
How they get further in the playoff, and the
Right.
defense could, propel them.
Yeah.
Another game, a couple winning teams that we haven't talked about as much recently. East Palisade at Valley Christian. It's
Yep.
just interesting matchup. Let's see what happens when those teams face each other.
Yep.
I like that one a lot.
Yep.
Let's see what else we got here. Lakeview, the defense was standout. They had a rough time last week.
Yeah.
Can they bounce back at Niles McKinley? Kind of
Yep.
intrigued by that one.
Yep. I'll tell you
Let's
one
see
I
what else
like,
we got.
Chris. West Reserve, which is undefeated,
Yeah.
goes to Lowellville. I think that's going to be a really good Mahoning Valley Athletic Conference contest on Friday night.
Yeah, definitely. Very interesting too.
Yep.
Sebring, if you like 8-man football, they
Yep.
host Toledo Christian on
Yep.
Friday night.
That's right.
Saturday's good. And again,
Yes.
if you're like, man, I want to catch a couple games on Saturday, you got the opportunity to. Fitch is at Booktle. I know there'll be a little bit of a drive there,
Yep.
but Fitch is our number one team. Intrigued to see what happens there.
Yep. And also, Mayfield goes to Cardinal Mooney. Cardinal Mooney is 0-4, but look at the schedule they played,
Yeah.
Chris. Oh my goodness! And I tell you what, I think if they even win 5 games, I think Mooney still makes the playoff in a really good read. That Division 4, Region 13 is loaded with good teams. And I tell you what, if they make the playoffs with like 5 wins, and they're going to be one of the lower seeded teams in that region, I wouldn't want to play Cardinal Mooney in a first round playoff game because of that schedule they played is really good.
And I'm also, Mayfield's a traditional
Right.
power. I'm not sure
Yeah.
exactly where they're at
That'll
this
be a
year.
good game. Yep.
Yeah, but they traditionally have done pretty well. So
Yep.
uh should be good. Two young teams. Matthews at Crestline. He used to cover football over in the Richland County area, and Crestline used to struggle. I think they've gotten better. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when those two teams play too. So it should be good. Anybody we did mention the poll? I know we kind of hit on some of the.
Yeah, I tell you what, we have a couple. I think we have one new team on our poll this week. Obviously, Fitch remains the number one, Chris, and we talked about they're going to have Bookdale on Saturday. West Branch is number 2. Struthers is number 3. South Range remains number 4. Ursuline remains number 5. Number 6, Western Reserve, and the new team in our poll this week, Hubbard jumps in at number 7. Like we talked about, they're 4-0. They whipped Niles 41-6 last week, and they're going to travel to Poland like we talked about Friday night. That'll be a great matchup. So congratulations to the Eagles. They hop in the poll at number 7 this week.
Very good. And hey, we had our Player of the Week poll. We mentioned that on the podcast we did on Saturday. Let me just mention these guys real quick. I'll tell you where our results are to the moment. McKing Adar from Harding, he got nominated, 138 yards on 13 carries. Enzo Coca from Canfield, starting quarterback, 2 touchdowns. Canfield over Poland 17-10. Jack Darney from Western Reserve, he scored 2 touchdowns. Western Reserve, a real close game, beat McDonald 35-34.
Back, man. Yep.
Yeah, Max Hawkins from Crestview, 302 yards, 2 touchdowns. Crestview over Liberty, 44-14. DeMar Rogers, it seems like every week Fitch has a different star, which is a good sign. It shows you got a deep team. You got a lot of guys to rely on. He had 12 tackles and 2.5 quarterback sacks. Fitch over Riverside, 17-3. I was mentioning this on Saturday morning. Sometimes even as writers, we kind of gravitate toward who's throwing the passes or catching them or running. But man, defense, what impressive performance by Rogers. And again, for coaches and fans out there, if you got a defensive guy, as long as you have stats, let us know. We definitely want to nominate those guys as well. Owen Javakovic from East Palestine. Again, great story down there. Scored 5 touchdowns. East Palestine over Lisbon, 42-27. South Range, another team doing really well. Seems like there's different guys you can spotlight each week. There's a different guy, Gavin Nagy. He caught 2 touchdown passes. South Range over Lakeview, 38-7. And again, Lakeview pitched a couple of shutouts, so that win's a little bit more impressive the more you take a look at that. Louisville, Ricky Warrich threw for 3 touchdowns. Louisville over Campbell, 26-19. And Devin Branham from Struthers, 2021, he scored 3 touchdowns. Remember, Gerard was up on Struthers by 14 a couple times. Struthers comes back and they win. At the moment, again, I'm saying this at the moment because if fans get together to vote, anybody could win this thing. But right now, Jack Darnay's in the lead, followed by Gavin Nagy and Max Hawkins.